Welcome to InTheVortex.party, your live virtual hot seat podcast for manifestation masters looking to milk reality for everything it's worth. I'm your host, Nick Bro, and I'm here to help you find out where the law of attraction is going wrong so you can get it right. If you'd like to join in our next live call, register at http://InTheVortex.party. And welcome to the Manifesting Wealth and Money Mastering course. So the way we're going to kind of unroll tonight is there's two parts. First of all, we're going to go over the concepts. So I'm going to teach you guys what you really need to know to manifest money. Teach you guys where most people are getting it wrong and what you need to do to kind of correct it. And then we're going to give you guys action steps. Right? I want to tell you guys exactly what you guys need to be doing every day to get that money momentum going in and switch or shift your money situations, your financial situations, get more abundance. Sound good? Yeah, now I know I can't hear you guys, but so there's two key concepts that you really need to properly understand. And we're going to start by reviewing those. Now, if you're advanced or been doing LOA for a while, then it'll be a bit of a review, but I need to go over these concepts to make sure that we're all on the same page. And the first concept is alignment, right? Everybody who's been reading about or knows about law of attraction has heard the term alignment, but I want to make sure you guys really understand what that means. And the second is about learning how to become a vibrational match. So in our case, it's about learning how to be a vibrational match with, money and wealth. So first topic is alignment. So alignment, the true definition of alignment is your level of connectivity between you and your inner being. So it's what allows your inner being to guide you. So the more aligned you are, the more connected you are, that's what allows synchronicities to happen. That's what allows your intuition to stand out. If you're not in alignment, then you're not getting the messages from your inner being, and things aren't going to kind of progress, right? Now, you can be in alignment, but you can also have manifestation blocks, right? That's why we need to look at these two concepts separately. So part of the equation or part of the formula is getting into alignment so that you receive the guidance from your inner being so that you're creating the synchronicities. And the other aspect is getting into a vibrational match with the money. Okay, make sense? So like Abraham says, alignment trumps everything, right? One person in alignment is more powerful than a million who are not. So when we're born, our natural state of being is joy, okay? So we're born up here, right? When we're up here, that's when we're in full alignment. Joy is the connection between you and your inner being. The happier you are, the more in alignment you are, and the more you're going to be in that state of flow, okay? But what happens is after birth, as we age, right, we experience events, positive and negative, the good and the bad. And along with those events are negative emotions, right? So those negative emotions, the emotional baggage that we carry, that's what's pulling us down and out of that state of joy, right? That's what's pulling us out of alignment. And that's the reason that most people are struggling in life, right? Life is supposed to be a fun, easy, flowy experience, but because we're not living in alignment, life's a challenge because we're not experiencing the synchronicities we're supposed to experience, right? Because we're not following that inner guidance that's always there, but we're not tuning into because we're not into alignment. So if you want to manifest money, the first step is getting you into alignment. Because if you walk into, and this is a bit of an extreme example, but if you walk into a gas station and your inner being is screaming, buy that scratch and win ticket, buy that scratch and win ticket, and you're not hearing that voice because you're not into alignment, you're not going to buy the ticket, right? Make sense? So the key to getting into alignment is achieving joy, right? That's why Abraham says joy is the key. Right? It doesn't matter to me if somebody comes to me for help with relationships. It doesn't matter if it's for money, anxiety, life purpose. It's all the same work. It's all about getting you into that state of joy. right? So your only goal as we move through this program week after week is not to focus on money. It's purely to focus on how good can I feel? How happy can I get? Right? You want to take your mind off of the financial, right? Because every time you think about the financial, every time you notice a lack, every time you notice that there's not enough, every time that you try to manifest money, you're simultaneously focusing on the lack of that money, right? Because you're noticing it's not there, so you're efforting into manifesting. You want to completely step away from all of that, and you just want to focus on getting happy. Okay? Now, because happiness is our natural state, it's like that cork floating back up to the surface. You don't need to do anything to manifest the money. The universe already knows that you want the money. You just need to stop doing the things that are preventing the money from showing up. Make sense? Am I going too fast for you guys? I feel like I'm cruising. No? Good. Okay. So there's two major steps to getting into alignment. One, clear the junk, right? Clear the emotional baggage that we all have that's weighing us down, that's pulling us out of that state of joy. So once the junk goes away, it gets easier to float back up. And the second thing you need to do is create positive momentum, right? Thought patterns, right? Because even if you clear all of that negative emotion and you're waking up every morning going, oh, my job sucks. Oh, my car keeps breaking down. Oh, I don't want to go to bed. Oh, my kids don't listen to me. You're still creating negative momentum, right? Now, from a law of attraction standpoint, a lot of people aren't aware of the emotional aspect or do the emotional work. And what happens is they're always trying to do the mindset work, right? Focus on the positive, do affirmations. But what happens is that mindset work pulls you up, and that's great, but the emotions are continuously weighing you down. So if you can deal with and clear the emotions, that weight is gone, and the momentum gets much, much easier to get up here, right? Does that make sense? That's really the biggest missing component for most people. I guess somebody's dog has a question. Jody, would you mind muting your microphone?
I don't know how to do that.
If you look at the bottom left corner, there should be a little button that says mute.
So it's the
Looks like a little oval microphone. Do you see the buttons at the bottom of your screen?
No, I do not. It just took me out of the meeting completely.
Okay, don't worry about it. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about getting alignment or creating that positive momentum? And we're going to get into more into the steps, the action steps to doing that later on, because that's what you guys are going to need to do. So any questions about alignment? Do you guys fully understand alignment? Thumbs up, alignment, good? You know exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about alignment? And then positive momentum. So you guys understand the concept of positive momentum, right? And why it's important to get those mindset, the thoughts going in the right direction. Perfect. Okay, so the first part was about alignment. Now, the second part of the equation is learning how to become a vibrational match to money. So if you're in alignment, that's great. You're listening to the guidance of your inner being, your intuition's strong, you're experiencing synchronicities. But if you're not at the vibrational level that allows wealth to show up, wealth still won't show up. So a lot of people say, well, I'm in alignment all the time. Why isn't the money showing up, right? It's because vibrationally, you're not at the same station, right? You need to be at the same frequency, right? So if you use that radio analogy, if you're tuning into 99.9 FM, but money's at 88 AM, then no matter what, you're not going to sync up, right? So you need to sync up with that vibration. So in order to sync up with that vibration of wealth, there's two things you need to look at. One is the emotions, and 2 is the thought patterns. So from an emotional standpoint, every emotion has 2 ends of the stick, right? Happy, sad, powerful, powerless, stuck, free. So if there's something that's not manifesting into your experience, it's because you're on the wrong end of the stick, right? So most people, when it comes to money, one of the emotions that they're stuck on is the feeling of being limited, right? Stuck. So if you had money, right, most people want money for freedom, right? So stuck and free, those are the 2 ends of the stick, right? So if the money's not showing up, it's because either you're not in alignment and you're not receiving the guidance, or because you're vibrating in stuckness instead of in freedom, right? And that's kind of the other end of the stick. This is the other thing that a lot of people are kind of, they're not screwing up, but they're not, you need to get to the positive side of that stick, and you need to stay there, right? So most people realize, yeah, I need to feel freedom, and then they'll bounce into freedom for 5 minutes, and then they'll bounce out, right? They'll jump into freedom, and then they'll notice a bill, and then they'll bounce back out to stuckness again, right? The reason that this is like a 4-week program is because it's about consistency. We want to consistently get you into the emotional set point that is a vibrational match to the money, right? So if you've been in powerlessness, we need to get you every day into the feeling of powerful. If you've been in stuck, we're going to shift you to that feeling of freedom, right? And if you've got 5 things going on in your life, and Abraham talks about this, if you've got 5 things going on in your life, 4 of them are going well, so these 4 are going well, and this one's going wrong. Let's say this is money, and money's going wrong, and it makes you feel stuck. These 4 things are going well, and they make you feel free. But because we're humans and we like to try to focus on our problems to solve them, we focus on the bad one, right? So we're here focusing on money, and it's making us feel stuck. But if you could ignore this, ignore the money, and focus on these 4 things that make you feel free and make you feel good, that feeling of freedom, if you can ignore this, will carry over into the money because you're not thinking about it. And then your money situation will shift, right? It's all about reaching and achieving that emotional set point and maintaining it. You guys get that? Thumbs up? Good. Thanks. Now, the other thing you need to look at is your thought patterns. Okay? What you're noticing is literally creating your reality. So to give an example, last summer we had a bee's nest in the garden, and I didn't realize it, but I was like whipping and mowing and stuff, and I must have hit the bee's nest because I got stung like 3 times. And I've never had a fear of bees. They never bothered me. I left them alone. They left me alone. But because I was stung a bunch of times, I was kind of like paranoid about getting stung again. And for the next 2 months, I would see bees everywhere. I'd be laying on my patio, a bee would land on my leg and start walking around and take off. I'd be like 150 meters out into the ocean, and a bee would whiz by my face, right? So because I was noticing and paying attention to bees, right, they were showing up everywhere. So from a financial standpoint, you need to be careful not to be noticing, oh, there goes more money, oh, I don't have enough money again, right? You're going to keep creating that reality, right? You get caught in this like reality loop, right? Now you can also use that to your advantage. So last August, I won on 10 out of 12 lottery tickets, all by continuously focusing on winning tickets, right? This was last year. So that was great. But once I realized that I could actually do it, I totally bombed the month of September because then I put all this pressure on myself, right? So your ability to focus is extremely powerful. I was watching a video this week, and it was by Bentino, one of the Julianne's Abraham or Love Attraction idols. And he was basically saying that the mindset that we have is that we're trying to earn our desires, right? We believe that our desires are given to us from the universe. he recommends shifting your mindset. It's not that things are given to us. We're simply experiencing what we're observing and putting out, right? We're experiencing what we are creating through our vibration and through our emotions, right? So again, so you have that power to create whatever you want. It's just a matter of the fine tuning that we're talking about here. Any questions about that? No? So the key thing about this whole vibrational match, oh, yeah, go ahead, Ainsley.
So one thing just with the money, because where I find is that I'm good.
Oh, did she freeze up? Give her a few more seconds.
But she froze up as good, so that's good, right?
I guess the universe really didn't want her to have her answer that she was looking for. Okay, we'll keep going, and then hopefully she comes back. That was funny. Yeah, so the really important thing to understand here when it comes to the vibrational set point is that there's those emotions, you need to achieve those emotions. So we're going to do an exercise to help you identify them, right? But essentially what you want to do is you want to achieve those emotions, and you need to maintain them consistently. So a lot of people know that it's about reaching those emotional set points, but what people are not doing is the continual work to maintain the set points. So it's really maintaining those emotions that are key. Right? And what you're going to want to do in the morning is when you wake up in the morning and part of your morning practice, which we're going to talk about, you're going to want to get into those set points, and then you're going to try to hold those set points till you go to bed at night. Right? And if you're trying to get into the emotion of freedom and you notice by lunchtime, you're like, oh, I was feeling that at break, but now I've lost it. Why did I lose it? Right? What part of my reality was I observing or allowing me to let go of my feeling of freedom? Right? And then you're going to work on getting back there. Make sense? Any other questions? Nobody? You guys were scaring me before we started, telling me you had all these questions for me. All right, we'll keep cruising through. Yeah, so the important part too is that every time that you notice a lack of money or whatever it is you want, you're taking a step in that direction again. Every time you notice abundance or money or whatever it is you do want, the more attention you give to it, the more you're going to step in that direction, right? This summer, Nick and I, we were on the patio and we were playing a game where we were just listing off things that were in abundance, right? An abundance of oxygen, an abundance of water to drink, an abundance of this, an abundance of that. And then about an hour later, we went for a walk down on the beach. And we usually walk down to the wharf and back, a 15-minute walk. And when we got back, we both literally had huge handfuls of beach glass. Normally when we go for that walk, we find maybe 5 or 6 pieces tops, right? So by playing that abundance game, we really had put ourselves in that vibration of abundance. And an hour later, because we were still there, that's what we experienced when we went out on the beach, right? So again, these are very basic concepts. Most people know this stuff about law of attraction. But again, the real key thing is consistently getting there and maintaining it, right? Because we have this lack in our physical current reality, we're so busy observing the lack all the time that we stay stuck in it. Okay, so let's have some fun. So we're going to do an exercise. So any questions about, so that's it for the conceptual stuff, right? So any questions about all of that stuff, and then we're going to dig in and do some digging. No questions? Come on. Nobody? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to help you guys identify what emotional set point you guys need to switch, right? So right now, money's not showing up either because you're not in alignment, or because you're in the wrong vibrational set point, or you're not in the desired set point consistently. Yeah, go ahead, Julianne.
Oh, well, there's one thing sort of that I wanted to ask about, but I'm not sure if this is the right time to ask it. But it's sort of like, what if money does show up, but then you want to get rid of it whenever it shows up?
Okay, so so that's a pattern of behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably because it doesn't feel safe to have money.
Okay.
So there's probably belief there that if the money is in my bank account for too long, I'll lose it.
Mm-hmm.
To feel that somebody will take it away. Right? I've seen this in clients before where it was a very family that wasn't very wealthy, the one that's coming to mind. And he believed that as soon as he had the money, he had to go spend it so that his parents wouldn't ask him for the money, or his brother wouldn't tell him to buy something, or there was a fear of not having enough money, so spending it right away. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't think that's what I don't really know why, but as soon as I get it, I sort of feel like, oh, brilliant, and now I'm just going to spend all of it, and then
other people go like this too.
Yeah.
So try asking. So let's try asking this question. So if I had, if I couldn't spend that money right away, what's the worst thing that could happen? Anything come up?
If I couldn't spend it right away? Yeah. Nothing.
Okay. And if you had, let's say, $50,000 in your bank account, does that feel unsafe in any way?
It feels unfair.
Okay. So
it feels like I need to share it with everyone.
There you go, right? So you might have a subconscious program that says, I need to spend it before I have to share it with somebody.
No, I feel like I need to spend it to share it with people.
Okay, so there's something there around, not deservingness isn't quite the right word, but it's not fair for me to have the money and other people not to have it.
Yeah.
Right? So that one's a little bit tricky, but I'm sure with a little bit more digging, we could probably nail down exactly what it is.
Okay, cool.
Can you kind of feel the energy of it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have that issue, or does that problem relate to anybody else? About feeling like you need to spend it right away? No, it's definitely not uncommon.
Okay.
So we're going to do some digging work. So remember how every emotion has two ends of the stick? Oh, Ainsley's back. Hey, Ainsley. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to finish your question?
Right, like, what are the chances of everything blacking out? Just like right in the middle of that. Sorry, everyone, that was out of my control.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, so where I stuff myself up is that I'll go along fine and free and I feel amazing and I love my life, but then cash-wise, like it's kind of this feast and famine thing. And so I'll have money and it's all well and good, and then I can go fine without money for a few days because it kind of trickles in, but then I get that heavy feeling in my gut, and then it's like, I can't pay for this, I can't pay for that. Okay. And so I'm just constantly going like on this cycle, just, yeah. And so I don't really know what the question was, but it was like, that's right, when you say you have to get a taxi somewhere and you don't have the cash for the fare, or you have to pay for something and you're there and your card doesn't work. Like, how do you ignore that? It's just one of those, that's kind of the, yeah.
And that's the most challenging part of money.
Yeah.
That it's in our face all the time.
Yeah.
Right? So it's very hard to ignore the fact that you don't have enough money sometimes.
Yeah.
So really that's probably the biggest challenge, is not giving it the attention.
Yeah.
But as you clear whatever your emotional set points are that we need to shift, right? As you get shifting into the other direction and as your momentum starts to shift,
Yeah.
those will slowly start to subside.
Okay.
So it's almost like you're kind of doing three things in parallel, right?
Right.
Doing the alignment work, you're working on your emotions, right? And you're ignoring the money as much as possible. Now, I'm not saying that you can't look at money once in 6 weeks, right?
Yeah.
But the more you look at lack, the more it's going to kind of slow you down.
Yeah.
So it's not about being perfect at this, but it's about easing the resistance as much as possible. And the more you ease the resistance and the more you let go of the desperation, the quicker things are going to get quicker.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, so let's dig into this digging exercise. So this exercise is designed to help you identify what key emotions you guys specifically need to shift your wealth and your finance situation. Now, I've already got some emotions written down because they're common when it comes to money, but I'm going to get you guys to figure it out and we'll see if we all match up. And it's really simple. All I want you to do is ask yourselves, how does not having enough money make me feel? Right? What are the top three emotions that come up? Okay, everybody got it? Put your hand up if you've got three. Craig's got two. Yeah, and if you only got one or two, that's okay. Is everybody here familiar with the concept of dominant negative emotion? I'll go over it really quick just to make sure. So when I do digging work with people, most people tend to have one or two what I call dominant negative emotions. And a dominant negative emotion is usually a primary emotion you have in your attraction point that you've been carrying since childhood and you don't realize you have. So for example, a friend came up to me in a bar a couple of years ago in a pub. And he said, Nick, I'm tired. I don't feel like getting out of bed. I don't want to go to work. Do you have any advice for me? And I said, okay, so what's your biggest stress? And for him, he said it was his financial situation. And I said, okay, so how does your financial situation make you feel? And he thought for a second. He said, well, I can't do anything I want. I can't do all the things my friends are doing. I feel powerless. I said, okay, now go back to your last significant relationship. Kind of gave me a funny look. I said, what was the worst part about that relationship? And he said, oh, it was definitely the communication. I said, the communication in what way? He said, she always had to have the last word. She never wanted to hang out with my friends. We always had to do what she wanted to do. She never wanted to do what I wanted to do. I said, how did that make you feel? And his answer again was powerless. I said, go back to the relationship before that one. Was powerlessness a theme there? He said, yeah, definitely. And I said, go all the way back to childhood. Was powerlessness a theme in your childhood? And he said, yeah, I was the youngest of, it was 4 or 5 kids. Always had to follow my older siblings around, do what they wanted to do. So feeling of powerlessness. So right there in the restaurant, we did some tapping. We cleared the powerlessness and some other emotions that came up around that. At the end of the night, the waitress gave him his drinks for free. And within 3 to 4 months, he had a new job making more money than ever. And he had a new relationship completely different than all of his other relationships. So that's an example of a dominant negative emotion. Now, what's interesting is a lot of people, everybody has, I believe, 1 or 2 of these emotions. And we've had them for so long that we don't realize that those emotions are there. Right? So this guy felt powerless all the time, but he couldn't really feel it. It's almost like if you're in the kitchen and you turn on the dishwasher, well, you notice the sound the dishwasher is making for a minute or two. But after a while, if you're sitting at the island or at the kitchen table, it becomes background noise, right? You don't notice it anymore, right? And that's what happens when we don't tend to them right away, right? If we don't fully process them, they become background noise. right? And in the case of dominant negative emotions, that's kind of what happens. Yeah, Barb?
How do we know for sure we've got the right one?
In terms of the exercise we just did,
Mm,
I'm going to ask you guys.
okay.
So the number one emotion I find is usually stuck or powerless. How many people have that? Okay. How about you guys? Do you want to share, Julianne? Do you mind sharing what emotions you came up with? You're gonna have to unmute your mic first.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, the ones I put down were scared or worried, constricted or limited.
Okay, so what were your top three, would you say?
Was scared, constricted, and there was shame actually as well.
Okay. Constricted, that kind of feels like stuck. Would you say that's kind of the same?
Yeah.
You're just using Irish lingo. Barb, what did you have?
So I had fearful, loss of control, and impoverished.
Okay. So, yeah, and I would consider loss of control same as powerlessness,
Okay.
right? Janek, what about you? Do you mind sharing?
I had the fear, like I was panicking. If I ran out of money, that was panic.
So worry. Yeah.
Failure, fear of being judged, mostly. That was my number one. Loss of control.
Loss of control again. Yeah, that's the powerlessness.
Mhm.
Okay, what about you, Melanie?
It's kind of like Janik said. I had failure, scared, not good enough, and powerless too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Craig?
Yeah, powerless was the first one I wrote down, and then the second one is unsafe. That it feels like bad shit's about to happen.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's the feeling of unsafe, and then and actually when Julianne mentioned shame, that one resonated with me. I'd only had two at that point, but that's a definite emotion of feeling
Cool.
sort of shamed and a little stupid.
Interesting. Yeah. So worry, and powerlessness seem like they're the top ones so far.
Yeah.
What about you, Ainsley? What did you have?
So like Craig, well, I had inadequate,
Okay. Yeah,
insecure, and insecure not so much in myself, but just in like not having financial security. Like I'm a long way from home, so if something happens,
okay. So
I'm
that's
screwed.
that
So
would
there's
be,
kind of that, not being able, you just not having the what's the word, like, I guess just insecure.
okay. Yeah. So like the opposite of stability.
Yeah. And frustrated / desperate.
Yeah. And desperation is one that you definitely want to move away from.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Thanks. And then Jody, did you want to share? Okay. She's still muted. Oh, there we go. Hi, Jody.
Right, I did get it. Sorry. I felt inadequate, stressed, and anxious.
Okay. Worry, anxious, inadequate. That's coming up. So not good enough has come up quite a few times too. Interesting. Cool. And then Shane, you want to fill us in? What did you get?
Yeah, I got stress, angst, and fear. Very, very powerful.
Okay. So yours are all around worry.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. So now what I want you guys to do is I want you to identify. So pick your top three, right? And I want you to identify what sits on the opposite end of the stick for those emotions, right? So if powerless was your number one, the opposite of that is powerful, right? If, fear or worry was one of them, what's the opposite of worry? Calm or relaxed, safety.
Sort of peacefulness.
Peacefulness. Yeah. And go with whatever words feel right for you, right? So for me, the opposite of stuck might be free, but the opposite of stuck for somebody else might be unlimited. Right? So go with whatever words feel right for you. If you're not sure what that opposite emotion is, let me know and we'll try to figure it out.
How about the fear of being judged? The opposite.
So the opposite of being judged might be like
Accept.
being judged is around like not feeling like you're good enough,
Yes.
right? So
What other people think.
yeah, so I would focus on
It's hard.
yeah, so because judgment,
Acceptance?
being judged isn't really like an emotion, right?
I guess not. Yeah.
So if they were, ask yourself, if people were judging me because of money, how would I feel? Right? And then go with the opposite emotion of that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Next.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And so, Nick, how about inadequate? Because that's sort of along the same lines.
Yeah, I would say feeling adequate. Right? Adequate would be the opposite of inadequate. But I would like to use something better than adequate, because adequate doesn't even feel good enough.
Put powerful for my inadequate. That's what's that well with me.
Powerful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Successful?
Successful, good enough. Okay, so does everybody have their 3 positive emotions now that they're working towards? So Janik, yes. Melanie? Yes. Ainsley, you got your 3 positive emotions. Craig? Barb and Julianne, you guys got yours? Awesome. Okay, and Jody and Shane, I'm going to assume you guys have yours since I can't see you.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, so we're all good? Awesome. Now, second question, a second digging question. What I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself, let's pick a number. So let's say if I had all the money that I needed, so let's pick a random number. So if I had $500,000 in my bank account, so if tomorrow I woke up and I had $500,000 in my bank account, how would that feel unsafe? Or what's the worst thing that could happen? So see what comes to mind.
I'm not sure what you mean. So if we have $500,000 in our bank account, are we feeling those negative emotions?
No, so forget about the emotions for now.
Okay.
Okay, and just ask yourself that question. If I had that money,
yeah,
if that money was in my bank account starting tomorrow, how does that feel unsafe? What's the worst thing that could happen if you had that money? For some people, some people might get an answer right away. For some people, it's a little bit more of a challenging question. And again, we're using this just to flush out any kind of false beliefs.
Could it be something as simple as it may not be enough? Even though that's so much more money than I would even think of having in my account. But first thing that came up for me is, yeah, it sounds like a lot, but it may not be enough.
Okay, so my guess is for you, you might be stuck in a thought pattern of there's never enough. Right? And if you're stuck in a thought pattern of noticing that there's never enough, then you're going to keep creating that reality. Right? So part of what you're going to want to work on is getting into that feeling of I have enough. Okay, so I would add that down as like a 4th element in your list. So now you should have 3 emotions, and then the 4th thing you want to have written down is feeling like I have enough. Okay, Craig, what did you have?
Yeah, hey, actually, I couldn't think of anything that felt unsafe or bad about that. And and I'm trying.
Okay, no, okay. That's okay. That happens sometimes too, right?
Okay, cool. Because I think it'd be awesome.
Perfect. Yeah, and that that just might be a sign that either you don't have any blocks towards having the money, which is great,
Okay.
or it means that there's something subconscious that it might take a little bit more digging. But no, that's not a problem by any means.
All right.
What about you, Julianne?
Yeah, I wrote down what's the worst thing that could happen. I'd have false friends who maybe would just like me for the fact I've got money or something, or that would want to take advantage of it.
Yeah. So you could take advantage. So you feel like people would take advantage of you.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And that I'd be different to others, and I'd be lonely and separate.
Okay. And do all those circumstances bring up a similar emotion?
Yeah. I mean, those do. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So so identify what the other end of the stick of that emotion is, right? The positive, flip that emotion to a positive, and then add that like as a fourth one in your list.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I also had I might not have a drive to create.
Interesting, but that would be a block, right? I would be lazy because I don't need to do anything anymore because I have money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And can you reframe that to realize that that's not true?
Do
you create?
Yeah, I mean,
is the only reason that you create things is for money?
No, not at all. Most of the time, it's not. Like,
okay. So can you tell your brain that even if you had money, you'd still be creating because you enjoy it?
Well, I'd be probably creating better stuff because I'd be able to like pay amazing people to help me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, what did you come up with, Ainsley?
So losing it.
Yeah.
And then the thought of other people, that just flashed across my mind. I don't know what context. It just kind of was there and then it went again. But probably like leaving people behind.
Okay, yeah. And if you gained it all and lost it, would that be a good thing or a bad thing?
Bad thing.
Would you be any worse off than you are now?
No.
Okay. So can you tell your mind that it's okay if you gain it and lose it? That it would still give you some valuable life experience and you probably have a bit of fun at it?
True.
And that you could always gain it again anyways?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
And Melanie, how'd you make out with that question?
It was kind of on the same line, yeah. That's what I wrote, like the fear of, okay, I have it now and tomorrow it'll be all gone. So,
yeah. And that's very common. It's like a fear of mismanaging it, a fear of screwing it up.
Exactly, yeah.
But again, if you get the money and you screw it up and it's gone, well, you can always make it again and you're never going to be worse off.
Yeah.
Right? And what about you, Janik?
For me, nothing came. I'm kind of like Craig, but then the more I'm thinking about it, it's more like the fear of making decisions. Like, would I leave my job? Would I want a new house? It's just making decisions after having all that money, I guess. Like,
so it's scary just having to deal with it.
Yeah, it's like responsibilities that comes.
takes you out of your comfort zone.
Yes, I guess.
So do you agree that if you had all that money, you could hire somebody to manage it for you?
Oh, true. Yes.
So can you let that belief go?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And what about you, Barb?
Yeah, I was like Craig. I struggled. I didn't feel anything. I've always tended to be fairly conservative with money, so $500,000 felt really good. I felt that positive vibration and just felt like I could sit with that.
Didn't feel scary for you. That's good.
No.
Okay, and then Shane?
For me, it was, just instantly the fear of losing it all, which I think has been touched on. And the explanation was great. It really helped. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Good. That was easy. Okay, so any questions about any of the digging work that we've done? So the key there was just to help you guys figure out which emotional set points to reach for and to deal with a few of those blocks around the safety of having money. which are very common. So you can see why money is such a hard thing to manifest. When you factor in all these beliefs around money, right, and the fact that it's in our face all the time, especially when there's a lack of it. Okay, so next we're going to talk about how to get into alignment, right? So getting into alignment is all about the momentum, right? It's about creating positive momentum. So when we wake up in the morning, it takes us a few seconds to realize we're awake and our mind to engage. And once our mind gets spinning, so our mind is at a neutral state when we wake up, okay? So what do most people think about when they wake up in the morning, right? Getting the kids ready to school, the morning traffic, the deadlines for work. When we wake up, we think about all the problems, all the negative stuff in our life, right? At least most people do, right? So what happens is our mind goes from a neutral state, starts spinning into the negative, creating negative momentum, right? Once you have negative momentum going on, it's harder to stop it, harder to break it, okay? So the key to getting into alignment through momentum is start creating positive momentum as soon as you wake up, right? And we do that through what I call the positive morning practice, right? So what does that positive morning practice look like? When you wake up, you want to do some appreciation journaling. Write down maybe 10 or 15 things that you appreciate, right? Doesn't have to be the biggest, most amazing events in your life, right? It could be how much you enjoyed your sandwich that you made yesterday, your episode of, I don't know, Survivor, whatever, just things that help you getting into that state of appreciation, right? After that, there's an audio clip that I share with all my clients. I'm going to share with you guys. It's a 10-minute Today is a New Day audio clip. It's Abraham-Hicks with some music in the background, right? It's really good. Really gets that momentum going. After that, what I recommend is 15 to 45 minutes of you doing whatever feels good for you, right? So it could be doing yoga, could be playing guitar, could be listening to music, could be getting outside for a walk on the beach, right? Your goal in this practice, again, is to get as close to joy as you can, is to feel as good as you can, right? And then once you're feeling good, you want to try to hold that feeling until you go to bed at night. Right? And for the first couple of days, the first week or two, it's like starting a new gym routine, right? It's a bit of a pain in the ass, but the more you do it, the more you stick with it, the easier it's going to get. So I've had people that I've told them to do this routine who've told me that just doing that without doing anything else for 30 days changed their life, right? It's very basic and very simple exercises, but it's what helps you get up there and maintain that consistency, okay? So again, you wake up, you do your appreciation journaling, listen to this Abraham audio clip, 15 to 45 minutes of stuff that feels good, and then finish with a meditation. I've got a meditation I'll share with you guys. It's designed for the morning practice. It's called the Positive Momentum Meditation. If you've got your own practice, you can do your own thing, and then finish by pre-paving your day. And what that means is you visualize the rest of your day playing out until you go to bed. Now, the goal of this morning practice is to feel good. So if doing all that feels like it's too much effort, if it feels like it's bringing you down more than pulling you up, don't do it, right? Bare minimum, do appreciation journaling when you wake up, and then do this meditation, or do the appreciation journaling and the audio clip, right? At least do a little bit to feel good. It's going to be harder for people who have 2 young kids in the morning than somebody who's single and lives by themselves, right? But if you wake up maybe 20 minutes earlier and just squeeze some of that in, right? That's a start, right? And remember, if you're living your life out of alignment, if you're going to work in a place of alignment, because you're operating in a place of flow, you're going to be way, way, way more productive, right? So if you typically have a 12-hour day, squeezing in an extra hour in the morning to do your practice, you're going to get everything it took you to get done in 12 hours, you'll get it done like in 8 hours, right? So from a logical, rational perspective, it's taking out some of your time out of your day, but you're going to make up for it big time in your productivity level, right? After you do this for a couple of weeks and you start to maintain that state, right? And for those of you who have kids, right? Once you achieve, kids feed off our energy, right? So oftentimes I've worked with a lot of clients with anxiety where we clear the parents' anxiety and they're telling me, you're not going to believe this, but my kid is completely different. They changed. So you, by focusing on being happy in the morning and feeling good in the morning, you're just going to start to notice that your morning routines might actually get easier, right? I know you guys are probably thinking, yeah, right, but try it, I dare you, right? So any questions about that, about the building of momentum?
Well, what was the final one again, Nick? I think after the positive momentum meditation.
It's pre-paving. So if you use my meditation, the positive momentum one, pre-paving is built into that. So I walk you through that step. If you do your own meditation or just silent meditation, then at the end you just want to spend 2 minutes visualizing your day playing out. So for me, if I have a talk, I visualize all my audience loving my talk and chatting with me afterwards. If I've got my kids, I watch myself have amazing time with my kids. If I've got 3 client calls, I'll watch my clients really getting a lot out of their calls, right? So that's the kind of stuff. Don't visualize yourself winning the lottery and then, getting a phone call from celebrities, and, you want to keep it realistic, right? So any questions about the morning practice?
Yeah, so how long, how long are you saying, an hour then, or more than an hour?
Doesn't have to be an hour. So it's whatever feels good for you, right? So if after you do it a few days or a week, you'll start to, and everybody's practice is going to be slightly different, right? So know that your goal is to wake up in the morning and consciously spend a bit of time doing things are going to help you feel good. So for me, it's not the same thing every day. So in the summertime, I might go for a walk on the beach. I might go for a 10-minute paddleboard, right? In the wintertime, I hop on the elliptical, and some days I'll listen to Abraham. Some days I'll listen to NoFX, right? So it just depends on what mood I'm in and what I know that I need to do to feel good. But it's making sure that I make sure that I commit at least 20 to 30 minutes every morning, right? The meditation I use, because I don't like listening to my own meditations, is the Abraham-Hicks Vortex meditations. So sometimes I'll do general well-being, sometimes I'll do financial. Depends on what mood I'm in and what jives and what feels good.
There's some nice meditations by a girl called Sophie. I can't remember her full name, but I can send the links around. They're all about ease and sort of relaxation. And
what I'm going to do tomorrow or tonight, once the video is available, is create a Facebook group for everybody. And we can all join in the Facebook group, and that's somewhere you guys can ask questions. And I'll post the videos, the meditations, and you can post your meditations and anything you guys have that you find useful that you think is worth sharing, we can dump in there. Cool. So does everybody think they can commit at least a little bit of time in the morning to a practice, even if it's just 15 minutes? Yeah, because that's part of what's going to get your momentum up and stabilized. But it might be hard for the first week, but again, stick with it, and I guarantee that it'll change your life over time. Okay, so here's your homework for this week. So 1, it's implement that positive morning practice, right? And 2, I'm going to give you guys some exercise to start shifting those emotional set points. Okay? And to do that, there's 3 things you can try or do. Okay? One of the things I'm going to share is the emotional freedom meditation. That's a 15-minute meditation where you take the negative emotion. So again, you guys have a list of 3 or 4 emotions to work on. So if you've got a lot of powerlessness, you use the meditation. Basically, the meditation, you visualize that emotion floating away like a balloon filled with helium, shrinking off into the distance and disappearing. Okay? So that's one of the resources you have access to. Another one is positive aspect lists. So let's say your emotion again is powerlessness. Okay, remember the hand earlier? So if money makes you feel powerless, you're going to spend 5 minutes or more if it keeps flowing, writing down about circumstances in your life that make you feel powerful. Right? So it could be things like, my kids listen to me so well. Right? I feel so powerful when I drive my car. Right? So basically, you're going to come up with the emotion you don't want to be in. You think of the opposite, so the emotion you want to be in. And then you write about the circumstances in your life that bring up that positive emotion. Right? And for some people, that's a very hard exercise to do. And if it's hard to do, that means it's even more important to do it. Right? Because if it's hard to do, that means you're having a hard time getting into that positive emotion. Right? And if you're really struggling with it, try the emotional freedom meditation on it for a few times first. Does that make sense? And then the last exercise, the third one, I call it abundance writing. Esther does this a lot. It's writing the word over and over again for a few minutes. So let's say you want to create more ease. Write the word ease down over and over. Kind of like when you're at school and they're punishing you, have to write a word on the blackboard over again. So I do this with the word fun, ease, abundance, joy, right? And you just write the word over and over again, nice and slow. And you kind of feel the feeling as you write it. And you kind of feel the feeling grow. So those are 3 exercises you can do. What I would suggest doing is work on ideally all 3 or 4 of those emotions every day, right? So maybe you pick one, you do the emotional freedom meditation, and then you pick the 2 or 3 other ones and do positive aspect lists, right? Or mix it up. And these are exercises you can do during the day at work, right? At break time. You can do them at night after supper once the kids are in bed. You can do it as part of your morning practice. Right? These are the exercises that are going to shift your set points. Right? So that over time, right, by doing them every day, the more you do it, the more you're going to get into those other set points, and the quicker that the financial situation is going to change. And by the way, some of you may have already even started to manifest money. It's not untypical for me to have clients sign up for stuff or work with somebody, and then in like the week prior, the 2 weeks prior, like they've manifested what they came to me to work on. I'm saying, Melanie, are you already manifesting money? Do you want to share?
Well, like I work like a full-time job, but at the same time I'm an epicure consultant, and I've just been saying, okay, I need new clients, I need new bookings, and that's what I've been getting, like phone calls out of the blue of people I don't even know. They got my name from somebody else, and so I've been like, yeah.
That just started.
Yeah, in the past 2 weeks, I'm like, okay, this is so fun. So
what you want to do as part of your morning practice, write about how easy those people are coming.
Yeah.
Write about how much you appreciate them and how so many people are showing up and how easily they find you and how word is spreading. So milk that experience by noticing, keep noticing it.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Good job. Okay, so don't worry, I'm not going to give you guys more homework than that. So any other questions before wrapping up tonight? Okay, so within the next 24 hours, I'll send you guys off an email, probably tomorrow morning. And in that email, I'll have a copy of this video. I'll have the Facebook group up and running, and I'll have links to all the meditations for you guys. Sound good? Any final questions? Last chance? No? And again, you guys can always ask more questions in the Facebook group. And good luck. And if you struggle some of the days, don't be hard on yourself, right? It's about consistency. It's not about having to do it every day without making a mistake. So if you go 2 or 3 days with a good practice and doing good, and then you have a day where you can't do it, don't hit yourself over the head. Don't get mad at yourself. Just keep going. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
That's it for today's episode. Thanks for listening, and much appreciation for everyone who jumped in on the call. If you want to participate in future calls, suggest a call topic, or be notified of our next episode, be sure to subscribe at http://InTheVortex.party or come hang out in our InTheVortex.party Facebook group. If you enjoyed this podcast, feel free to leave a review or click the share button to share with others.